Hello and welcome to ShrimpNet number. You know what number it is. I don't know, and it's October, and we're here to talk about the usual Morecambe FC things. So it's all on and off field stuff. And my partner in crime, Joel, is with us, and as is the wonderful and almost golfing professional Charlie Appleyard from the board. Charlie, welcome along.
Thanks very much.
And we have no guest this week because it's been a difficult week to try and find somebody. I've asked loads of people who are not connected with the club, and I've asked people who are connected with the club, and it's been very difficult. So I apologise for that. We'll hopefully have someone on next week. So you just left with us three talking the usual bollocks. But there you go. So where do we start? Well, as usual, we'll go back over the week's games. There's two. And I want to start with the Accrington game, obviously. Charlie, possibly our worst performance of the season against what I think is probably the worst side I've seen, and we weren't much better. And that was just so disappointing. We've given the fact that it's a Lancashire derby and we've come away with nothing, Charlie.
Yeah, it was sad, Freeze, but it's the way it happens sometimes, isn't it, when you're expecting so much and we didn't get the result. And Derek said it. Everyone's been sort of back in training on Sunday. It just wasn't the best performance, and couldn't really figure out why on the day. What do you think?
After 9 performances where we've performed at least one half pretty well in every single game, and in 3 or 4 home games we've played pretty well in 80 of the 90 minutes. It was really strange to put my finger on it, but I think, you know, players do have off days. That happens. And also, sometimes tactically, Derek gets it wrong. And I think it was a combination of the two things. And I think you're thinking,
to put them the pressure.
Well, I mean, I'll bring Joel in here. You know, your theory is pretty much the same as mine. It was just the worst time for it to happen, Joel, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think to put the level of performances we put in recent weeks, and overall for the season, but particularly in the last few weeks, the way we played against Bradford, the way we played against Notts County, yeah, it was fantastic. And to put those level of performances in against some really pretty decent sides and match them, and well, I mean, you could in many ways argue that we did kind of win against Notts County, and we should have won against Bradford. We should have put the game to bed in the first half to come away from those 2 games. And I know we're going away from home, but to drop off from that level of performance to what we saw on Saturday, look, you go through peaks and troughs, but it was quite alarming. I've got to say, it was probably the worst performance I've witnessed from a Morecambe side in a few years, to be honest. I think when we got turned over in League One, we were playing some pretty decent League One sides, whereas Accrington, I thought they worked hard. I thought, they stuck to task, and I'd say they didn't have an off day, but like they weren't up to much, but we just offered very little. And I thought, just kind of what you said, Freeze, I thought the players weren't at it, obviously, and you don't stoop to that level of performance just off tactics. But I thought tactically we probably didn't get it right. I thought there were a lot of long balls to Dackers, and again, and Dackers is great with the ball into his chest, and he's not to use the cliche, but he's got good feet for a big lad, hasn't he? And really, you want him. He's going to use his frame to hold on to the ball, but ideally, you want him controlling it with his chest and his feet, not trying to win aerial battles against Farron Rawson, who, he's Farron's amazing at winning balls in the air. But what's disappointing as well is we know he's got weaknesses. We know he's slow. We know he's aggressive. We know he gets drawn to the ball a bit too easily. We know he's quite easy to turn. He'll come in for the challenge, and you can nip round in front of him. You take him out of the game. Don Love, fantastic footballer, but defensively, we know this very well from having him for 2 seasons. He comes too narrow. He leaves too much room for his man out wide. And with the formation we played, and obviously with Donald being at left back, he was up against Luke Hendry, who was never really going to, from wing back, he was realistically never really going to challenge him that way. And I thought maybe we should have, played in the way that had wingers, and someone like Slew or Tollett actually could have directly challenged him.
Yeah.
A bit more of the time. So I think we got that wrong. But there are other aspects of performance. We were matched up to be able to not let Seamus Keneally, who plays at the base of Accrington's midfield, mop up the ball quite as easily as he did from the second balls, but we just got nowhere near him, and we had the players in those areas of the pitch that should have been able to get near him, and we didn't,
No.
that's hugely disappointing. And yeah, it was all round just very, very subpar across the board. I think the only saving grace, obviously, is that free kick from Ben Tollett, which was ultimately proved a bit too late in the day. But what a bit of technique!
Yeah,
The dip and the curl, just not very far out as well. It was really, really good piece of skill, that.
Yeah, it was. It was a quality finish, and when you look at it, we sort of perked up a bit when we got back to 2-1. And I mean, as you pointed out before we started recording, you could see Accrington started panicking then, but we didn't take advantage of it.
No, I mean, and at the end of the day, look, if we'd gotten the goal 5-10 minutes earlier, then there'd have been more time. I think it was, in many ways, by that point, it was a bit of a time issue. And I mean, and I saw their game against Port Vale on the TV the other week, and they conceded. It was actually, I think it was probably a few minutes early, but they were 2-0 up and they conceded, and then from that point, it just felt inevitable. But then you got to remember that the quality that Port Vale had to bring on, they had people like Ronan Curtis they were able to bring on, and obviously we don't quite have that level of quality to just be able to chuck on off the bench, and that might have contributed to why we weren't quite able to squeeze them in those last 5-10 minutes. But yeah, at the end of the day, we've not lost because we've scored that free kick too late. We've lost because the overall level of the performance across the board was just really, really not at the level it needed to be. Yeah, and if we played 60-70% the level that we did against Bradford, I think we would have at least held them to a draw.
Yeah,
and
you're probably right.
Yeah, so hopefully that's just a blip, but it's frustrating that blip came against a team that could have been very beatable,
Yeah.
And when you look at it, Charlie, obviously we're 10 games in now, 4 draws, 6 losses. Not quite rooted to the bottom because there is still hope. Because like we've pointed to, I'm trying to accentuate the positives that we've played pretty well in some parts of every one of those 9 games, but I don't think we played any part of that game against Accrington apart from after we'd scored, and we sort of like huffed and puffed a bit. But
it's so frustrating. I've just watched all the videos back on YouTube before I came on with Danny and Derek and Tollett and everyone. Us, we're all saying the same thing. We're not playing badly. We are not playing the football of a team bottom of League 2.
No,
we're not. And hopefully we'll turn around this weekend.
And isn't it strange? I'll move on, obviously, to the Bristol Street Motors Trophy,
which you all love nowadays.
Big fans of that. Yeah, after ignoring it last week, I think we might want to show a bit of love.
I'm bigging it up. I'm bigging it up now. That's exactly the reason. I've been calling it the crap cup, and we're not interested. Tin Pot Cup and all that. And all of a sudden we're through, and I'm like, oh no, I'm interested now. I don't mind admitting it. I am an absolute no complete. I've got more faces in Town Hall Clock. I don't mind. Because obviously you look at that performance last night against Nottingham Forest, and Nottingham Forest in the past we've sort of paid this sort of a bit of lip service, this cup, not since it was the sort of JPT when we got through to the Northern semi-final against Grimsby have we really paid it any notice. But the performance last night, watching the game last night, I never ever ever thought we were in trouble. And I know, yes, we've come away with, like, there's been knocks to Rhys Williams and Jordan Slew, but there was lots of positives about last night. Yes, Forest cut through was like a knife through butter 3 or 4 times in the first half. But the longer the game went on, we established, hang on, we're better than you. And there was a couple of people not moaning, but saying, oh, it was only Forest under 12s. And I'm like, yeah, it is Forest under 12s. But you can only beat what's put in front of you. We've beat Wigan away and we've beat Forest at home and we're through. And when you come down to it, I watched it last night and there were 4 well-taken goals. Yeah, 1 a deflection, which is fine. But it was nice to see Charlie Brown get some action and score. A lot of people Ben Tollett getting a couple, great. Hallam Hope, where did that come from? That neat turn and that finish.
Fantastic finish.
Yeah, there were some good goals, and we never looked. We kept our cool. We played football through the middle, and it was nice to watch, Charlie. And I don't care what you say. The Wigan win did actually set us up for some good performances after that. And last night could well do the same, Charlie.
Hopefully, I don't know about Jordan and Williams going off injuries. It didn't look good, did it, Williams?
Yeah, obviously it is really concerning because now we've probably got more people on the treatment table than we have that we can stick on the bench, which is given our, shall we say, that our financial constraints, it doesn't really help us. But I noticed, Joel, I did like your tweet today. Remind us of what you tweeted today, because obviously we get a bit of cash for getting through, don't we? And you had a suggestion, didn't you?
Yeah, bring Arthur Nahura in. I don't believe he's turned up anywhere. So unless he's kind of,
is that right?
Yeah, I don't think he has. As far as I'm aware, I've kept a close eye on the situation, but I don't believe he's turned up anywhere unless he's taken a full-time job somewhere else and he's playing Sunday League for some side in Manchester.
I'd read somewhere that somebody in the conference was looking at him, but that mustn't have come to anything. So
yeah, I mean,
whether it was Altrincham or somebody, I don't know.
With the injuries we've had, and do a little bit more quality up top, I wouldn't mind it, but obviously finances permitting. But I think you look at the game last night, and I always think these under-21 games, they've consistently they're like taking aside kind of whatever kind of issues there are with the competition, and just looking at it in a bit of a cold, analytical way about how the games pan out. They are quite weird and interesting games because these under-21 sides, they're really good technical players. They're really quick. They're really nippy. They can most of them can carry a ball really, really well and dribble and take a man on, and they can do that in a way that when they really, when they're at it, that I don't think many defenders in League Two can really cope with them because of the speed and the skill that they have. And there were times in that first half when they kind of cut through us, but I think they cut through pretty much any League Two defense with some of the skill that they were showing. But I think we were saying before we came on air, it was they do lack that clinicalness and then that kind of diligence and sticking to task and being able to manage a game over 90 minutes. And as soon as you get a goal back, the Reds start to wobble a little bit. And I thought after we got that equaliser at the end of the first half and we started the second half pretty well, despite them taking the lead initially, but we were on top even before then. You could just see them going more and more into their shell, not being able to, be diligent with, sticking with their man, keeping disciplined, maintaining that consistency and their accuracy in the play, and being smart with the game. And we just kind of wore them down in the end and got some pretty decent goals. It was good to see Charlie Brown getting the score sheet from an Adam Lewis cross. I was actually having a little peek through some underlying numbers in League Two, actually, and Adam Lewis is actually putting up some pretty decent numbers in terms of chance creation, and he's got a really quality left foot, and the way he's kind of ended up playing left wing at times, it kind of makes sense. You feel a bit daft not to make use of that left foot a bit higher up the pitch, really. And,
you're right.
Yeah, I think he did a really good job creating chances. Some of his deliveries were exceptional. Good Charlie Brown to get on the end of Ross and get some minutes in his tank. I thought the goal from Hallam Hope was really nice. It was very Cole Stockton.
It was rolling back the years for Hallam Hope, that, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Actually, I'd say, if anything, you could argue it's maybe he's embracing his age. Because I think rolling back for the years for Hallam Hope is surely running in behind and putting a one-on-one past the keeper, whereas that was kind of like a bit more Cole Stockton. Get the ball in the edge of the area, hold your man off, spin him, and drive it hard and low to the net. And I thought it was a really nice bit of striker play, and we all know how much Derek likes strikers who can do things like that. So yeah, it was really positive to see that. So, and then Ben Tollett being just somebody who's, I know they were deflected both of his efforts. Obviously, the first one more so, the second one only took a little nick, but it's the way he's able to strike the ball from range is really good. He's got a really, really good shooting technique, and you know, that's why those shots are fizzing and they're difficult to deal with, and they take a little nick and they fly past the keeper. And you know, it's just good to get 4 goals as well because it's felt
Show the importance to shoot.
yeah, yeah, it's got to get your shots away, but get into the right positions and get your shots away. And I think we've been a bit unfortunate with our finishing this season as well, to be frank. Again, I was looking at some numbers. We've kind of been, in terms of how many goals we scored, it's a bit below what you might hope we might score for the quality of chances we've created. So yeah, it's positive, and hopefully the players can take a bit of confidence in that. Sometimes it just takes the ball hitting the back of the net a few times to really get yourself going, really.
And the financial implications are good for getting through, Charlie, because obviously we get a bit of money for winning each game, and now we face the bottom of that. I mean, it's nice to be top of some league, isn't it? And we're top of our group. And
I've always been advocate of this trophy. Always really supported it, and good to see the money coming in. And hopefully we'll spark some confidence. Hopefully injuries aren't too bad. Strengthening in January, and try and get wins on the board. That's what we're going to do.
Yeah, I'm trying to remain positive because I've been watching a lot of years, and I still don't think we're particularly. I'm not suggesting we're playoff material or anything like that, but I do believe we're probably slightly better than last year's side, to be honest, that finished the season. Maybe not the team that started the season, and obviously we lost, Adam Mayer and 5 low knees come end of January. But I think we're probably looking a better outfit, harder to beat, and creating better chances than the way we finished last season. But that's just me. Maybe that's a contentious opinion, Joel.
I don't think it's entirely reasonable. I thought, if I look back at the performances under Jed, I thought when they clicked, they really clicked, and I thought we were really exceptional. They were some of the better performances I've ever seen from a Morecambe in League Two. I think the Tranmere game, even though we were 2-0 down early on at the start, I thought we were absolutely exceptional the way that we kind of knocked the ball around and controlled the game. I remember Gilliam as well. I mean, I thought we completely controlled that game as well. And, ultimately, it was 2 keeping errors that meant that we've lost the game. So, but then I'd say, especially as we got towards the end of the season, it felt like standards slipped, and some of the off-field matters, it felt like started to work the ways into the players' heads. And yeah, it was a bit flappy. It was a bit dour. We weren't creating loads, and we were looking a bit loose at the back. And yeah, I think it's a very different team this time around, but there's probably a bit more diligence and a bit more organisation. In terms of chance creation, yeah, we're getting there. We're creating more in recent weeks than we have done at the start of the season, so that's definitely improving. Yeah. So yeah, and we're doing this while probably our best player is been injured, which is
Guion,
which is quite weird because we've scored all our goals since he's been injured, which I don't know. I don't really know what that means to us. I don't know if maybe it takes, maybe there was almost a little bit of a thing in people's heads that when they just want to find Guion and hope he does something, but when he's out the team, you take a little bit more responsibility, and that's not to slight the players or slight Guion. No. I think Guion worked really hard, and I thought the players were trying to work really well within that system, but maybe subconsciously, there's something that's hard to kind of switch off from when he's on the pitch.
Yeah, I mean, possibly something in that. We'd like, he's like a greased pig, so give it him and let him do it, sort of thing, rather than do it yourself. So there's a bit of logic there.
But then maybe on the flip side, I thought when he came into the side last year, he didn't seem to have that effect. Well, as in during last season, so maybe it is just a factor. Maybe it's a factor of the players kind of finding their feet and remembering they can score goals on their own, and then when Guion's back in a few weeks, hopefully, he'll be that extra bit of shine, and the pressure will be off him to be the sole creator. And when the pressure's off him, hopefully he'll be able to kind of kick on and hit some really high standards because he's a fantastic player and definitely contribute a good few goals and creativity when he's back to fitness.
So we're looking at another tricky fixture coming up this Saturday, we'll be taking good numbers again, like we did last year, to Barrow. Barrow had a pretty fantastic start. They beat Cheltenham last week 2-1. They're again solid, if not really spectacular, but very, very solid. And Stephen Clements has got them changed the style slightly, and got them playing some decent stuff. And they find themselves in the top three, Charlie. So yet again, we're going our away form, not exactly brilliant. 1 point from all these games, and that was the 2-2 draw at Fleetwood, when arguably we were pretty pants for one half and then pretty good for a half. Barrow away, local rivals round the bay, and not an ideal time to play them. But then again, there's no ideal time for us to play anybody at the moment because obviously we're under such pressure, Charlie.
Well, I think last week Accrington was a bit more of a derby where we think they're worse than us. They're at the bottom of the league, and we should be winning this game to get us out of our misery. But this week you can look at it the other way, where who say we're not going. We know we usually play well against good sides. They're a good local side. Derek will give a bit of kick at the backside from last week, maybe not having as much passion in the local derby as the fans had, maybe. And hopefully this week we'll stick one little win off Ben Tollett deflection.
I don't care if it comes off his arse. I'm not bothered. Just don't take it.
He'd say we can't beat Barrow on Saturday. Strange things happen, please.
Well, to be fair, like I said, they've been solid, if not a bit unspectacular. But you can't argue where they are in the league because they've been very, very difficult to beat and don't concede many, Joel.
Yeah, I mean, having a look at the defensive numbers, they're excellent. Paul Farman's been doing a really good job for the past couple of seasons there, and that's obviously their strong point. Looking at them going forward, I had a little look at the expected goals numbers. We've created more on that metric than them, which is vaguely interesting. That's only a small sample size at the start of the season, but it shows that they're not really flowing and creating a load, and it is ultimately a side that's built on having solid foundations and then just showing quality to be really, really, really clinical and pull things out the bag at the other end of the pitch. So, yeah, hopefully, like you said, we seem to have been doing all right against some of the better sides this season. As soon as we played a particularly weak side, we didn't quite look up to it. I don't know if it's maybe that was a one-off or maybe it's just stylistically about us. But yeah, I think Derek says it. I think he said it the other week in an interview. Every game is a chance for a winning league too. Especially now, some of the real powerhouses of the some of the crazy powerhouses of last season have left the league. Every game this season is to a degree pretty winnable. So you've just got hopefully there's a bit of a reaction to the Accrington performance, and we can kick on a little bit from the goals we scored in the week and have a bit of a Derby Day amends.
It would be nice. But as you two have so succinctly put it, there is no reason we can't go there and get something. It would be nice to get the win just to ease that pressure, because it's starting to feel a little bit. The press are just quoting it all the time. It's been quoted on the last 3 Saturdays in the AFL highlights on ITV. And winless Morecambe, and it's just like it's starting to let's get this monkey off our backs, because the simple fact is we kicked off the season 2 months ago, and here we are 2 months later, and we're still looking for that first one. And once you get it out of the way, then obviously it does breed a little bit of. I mean, I could be completely and utterly wrong. I just don't see us being in a relegation battle. I think we'll probably end up somewhere where we were last season, to be truthful. And to be honest, that's only after the crap start that we've had. But that's just me. I'm just sort of like glass half full. Somebody seeing it glass half empty, they're predicting, it'll be the National League next season. But you just don't know, do you? But I mean, I suppose the sort of clincher really is, as you've already said, Charlie, is if we could bring people in, if Derek could bring people in January. But again, that's not going to happen under Jason. It's got to happen under somebody else, hasn't it, really?
Well, hopefully we'll get to that point. We need to each freeze, but it's moving.
And that's all we can hope for, isn't it? Really, that's we're all running blind with this, in the simple fact that these processes, a lot of them, shall we say, that they get advertised in the press and then nothing happens. And I've seen that so many times with bigger clubs than us. But obviously, we're knocking on now for how many months, Joel? 22 months, 23 months, something like that.
It's more than 2 years.
Yeah, it's just and you can understand why the fans are getting dispirited with it. But the one thing I do want to sort of like mention now, and a lot of people have been talking about this, particularly on the terraces, and this is a bit sort of sideways move, but obviously our average home gate has dropped probably by about 600, 700, 800 from last season, and so I've just been asking people who I know who haven't bought season tickets, and the part of the reason they didn't buy season tickets was because A, the uncertainty of the ownership, and B, they'd gone up from 150 quid to 199 in the early period. And more than one person has said, if it was still 150 quid, I'd have bought it and taken a chance. But because it was 199, I was like, I buy two of them and it's 400 quid instead of 300. And two or three of those people I've spoken to haven't actually been this season. And they were the sort of people who would come and buy a pint and a pie and stuff like that. And it came home with the Notts County game and the Bradford game when there were attendances of 3,536, and Notts County brought about 1,000, and obviously Bradford bought just slightly more. And I just thought, well, we got used to those attendances even in League Two, and it's no criticism, Charlie, but that's the feedback that I'm getting off people, and the fact that so I do ask them. And it's basically you're walking the tightrope, aren't you? Because you've kept them at 150 quid for sort of like nearly 3 seasons, and inevitably things change and wages go up and costs go up, etc., etc. But obviously, instead of sort of an average home crowd of about 3,000, maybe 400, we're now down to 2,500, 2,600, and that in itself. Yes, it's not. They won't all be season ticket holders, but when it comes down to it, you're losing out on match day revenue that we'd sort of not got used to. I won't say that, but people had got used to coming when we were in League One, and they stuck with us through that first season in League Two. And I just wonder how we can sort of counteract that, because they're still interested, but like I said, of the people I've spoken to, there's 2 or 3 who haven't been at all this season because they haven't got that season ticket. And it's just like, well, if I turn up, it's 20 quid, and then I've got my pie, and I've got my blah, blah, blah. And I just think there's sort of like, you're damned if you do and damned if you don't, aren't you, Charlie?
That's exactly what I was going to say, Freeze. If we're winning every week, people will be coming, I'm sure,
Yeah, so, you're right. Yeah, you're right. And results obviously have a bearing on that, despite the fact that home performances have been good.
£6.25, I think it was, for a season ticket home game was brilliant. 3 years ago, we did offer the 150, I believe, didn't we, this year? We did offer,
no,
199. 199.
Yeah, it was 199. I bought mine at 199, and I was happy with that. But
199 for a season ticket, even though it's not winning any games, still.
It's about £8.70 a game or something like that, so it's still cheap. So
good, yeah. Cost, the usual stuff: inflation, interest. Everything we need to cover our costs. But if we were winning every week, then I'm sure the numbers would be higher. But we made a decision to do that. Whether it's wrong or right is remains to be seen. But let's see what the crowd's like. We win 2 or 3 games and see how we get on there.
Well, that's it. But I mean, the reason for mentioning it is because obviously it's feedback for the club.
Yeah,
the fact that's what people are saying to me. They listen to the podcast, but they're not coming anymore. So it's like,
We're going to be thinking about half season ticket maybe coming up as well.
Yeah.
Get more people coming along. but we're well aware of that, and the season's not going as well as we wanted to, obviously. In a few weeks, I think Derek's been brilliant. Danny's been brilliant. The players have played well. It's just a really strange situation to be in, where when we usually play badly, you see why we're not playing badly.
No, I mean,
I
perhaps
think
Joel, this might be the season where we get drawn in the first round of the FA Cup and we get a decent draw, and people will, because we are maybe in the bottom two, people will take us for granted and we go on a storming run and make some money.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's worth having a bit of context to some of the season ticket prices and the numbers that we're getting, because I think there was always going to be a bit of a dip after League One, and to be quite frank, there will be less fans purely because we're in League Two instead of League One, and that's not meant as a slight. In terms of the prices themselves, I thought, to be quite frank, the club did really well to keep them at the price that they were for the.
Oh yeah, no criticism.
And despite going up, I don't know how exactly we rank in terms of the prices, but I know they're very, very cheap compared to League Two and the rest of the EFL. So, and in terms of the numbers that we're getting in terms of a home gate, I don't think we were quite getting 3,400 last season. That seems more like League One. I mean, I think we were maybe getting 2,500 to 3,000 last season, but I think now we're still getting pretty consistent home crowds of 2,500, but then obviously plus whatever away bring, which is still quite a lot more than what we were getting when we were in League Two last time. So, and I think, given that we've had to put prices up a bit, they're still really cheap, but mainly the apathy around the club. I think that's really where the danger comes in from with how Jason's handled the situation, and it's what really kind of kills fans over time. And I think it's apathy, isn't it? It's nothing going on at the club and just slowly mithering your way to kind of consistent bottom half and relegation fight finishes. And obviously that's kind of what happened towards the end of Jim's era. Obviously there wasn't very much investment going on, and Jim, I think he did a great job for a number of years, but he was quite clearly coming to the end of his tenure, and he was kind of maybe lose touch a bit with how he with his ability
to stagnation.
Yeah, exactly. It's stagnation, and when you have that stagnation, fans become apathetic. They start to think, "What's the point anymore?" And it's hard to attract people. And I feel like ultimately this is the thing. This is what, and to take us from the point that where we were a couple of years ago, just after we got to League One and everything, and for Jason to have taken that advantage, and he had the club in a great position to sell it. And he's botched it basically, and we're now in this kind of apathetic position where fans are kind of starting to drift away a little bit. The club will not be worth anywhere near as much money now as it was, back when we were in League One. And he's only really got himself to blame for that, for ultimately through his own inactivity diminishing the value of the asset he's trying to sell.
Yeah.
Sorry, I got off on a bit of a tangent, but yeah.
No, it's right. Our average home attendance last year was just over 4,000.
Really?
Yeah. Check it. I've just checked it. I knew I was right. It's 4,004. So that's pretty good. And so I know we've lost 500 season ticket holders, you say. So that's why I said, But the trouble is, the season ticket holders are not coming in as walk-ins because. I don't know the reason, and it baffles me if you've either got the bug or you haven't. But I think possibly Charlie has something in the fact that we haven't won a game yet, and people are staying away because of it. If we win the next 5 on the bounce, it might improve, but it's a strange one. I mean, don't get me wrong, that is the average, and obviously we got 5,500 against Wrexham, but obviously we had a lot lower than that against other teams who didn't bring anybody. But so it's it's a conundrum, but a lot of people did say I didn't buy a season ticket because Jason's in charge and there's no investment, and I thought we were going to go bust, which I can sort of see the logic there, despite the fact that I sat there and said, well, if you'd bought your season tickets on a credit card and the club went bust, you'd get your money back, so there was no risk. But Some people don't know that. So it's a strange one. But anyway, I digress.
We are Freez. We're trying our best. We're trying our best.
Oh yeah, of course. No criticism at all. It was just like, I thought I'd put it forward because it was a general view of about 10 different people that I've spoken to, and I bump into a lot of people, and a lot of people, I'm like, oh, did you go last night? No, I never went. And I'm like, oh, I had a season ticket, I haven't got it anymore. And I'm like, it's a bit strange, but and for whatever reason, I think they're the ones who, if we do get 5 wins on the bounce by Christmas, they'll start coming back. And like you say, half season ticket, get your wife to buy you one as a Christmas present, because apart from anything, she wants you out of the house because you're pissing her off.
No.
But you never know, do you? So looking at what's happening off the field, how are we doing on the coaches for coach for Barrow there, Joel?
Pretty well. Just to kind of bring it around the general trust stuff, there's pretty limited space on the Barrow coach. So if you are still looking to, obviously, I'm not quite sure how much of that limited space will be remaining by the time you're listening, but there are still, at the time of recording, there are still a few places left. We are still currently gauging interest for the Wimbledon coach. So if you are interested, please do get in contact, because it's important that we know that before we look at kind of what options we take for that. And obviously there is, we have to kind of also see what the state of Wimbledon's pitch is going to be, because obviously, as we all know, it got kind of destroyed a little bit by some flooding in London. So yeah, but do let us know if you're interested in going into that, and we can kind of get a bit of a gauge on numbers and work out what we can do from there. But in terms of other things to do with the trust, we're looking to launch business membership.
What does that entail?
So that will entail businesses able to pledge £250 for a year and get various kind of benefits from that. I can't remember them all off the top of my head. I have helped draft the letter for this, but it was more than a week ago, so obviously I've forgotten everything that I.
You've slept.
I have slept, and I've been to work, and I've gone for a pint with some friends, and obviously I've forgotten everything. But yeah, there are some benefits that we're going to work it into that, and part of the aim of that as well is to make sure that other areas that we run as a trust are kind of more sustainable. So like things like coach travel, where inevitably that could well end up running at a bit of a loss. We're hoping things like business membership and other things might be able to help subsidize that and allow us to kind of consistently run that, even to the more off the beaten track games down south somewhere. And just kind of a final point, we're hoping to get our strategy document published next week, so people can kind of see the things that have been schemed and see our plans for the next year and what we're kind of hoping to achieve and put in place going forward.
And I was interested. Obviously, I got the email today from Tanya saying what happened since she'd taken over, which I found very interesting. And again, welcome contact there. And Tanya's very, very proactive. Apart from she's avoiding coming on here.
I think we've caught on a few. It's just been unfortunate timing for the last couple of times we've attempted it, but hopefully we'll get something. I think we might need to be more organised, which is a bit of an odds to how we usually like to run things. But we might have to pencil people in 2 weeks in advance. That's scary.
That's exactly the conversation we had on WhatsApp the other day, wasn't it? I was like, but yeah, I'm going to say this because I know Tanya listens, but I think she's avoiding coming on because. I beat her in the quiz in the local choice suite when we were up on stage at I think it was the Colchester game. So I only beat her by one question. She knows her stuff. So there you go. But I think she's avoiding us. But so go on then, Charlie. What's happening off the field? Anything or nothing?
Well, we had a really good board meeting yesterday. Discuss what's going on with the sale. Can't comment on it at all, but it's not that there are things happening. Hopefully, make some headway in the next few weeks. Hopefully, sorry to be so vague as usual, but there's protocols to follow. We've got some big appointments coming on board. We've got a new. I think Jack's leaving from the media team, so there's just got a role there. Really good role. Someone's interested. People interested in applying. We've had some really, really good success in that over the years. Any
Yeah.
media students listening or any social media buffs want to apply, it's a really, really good role. Jack's been great photographer and moving on to other stuff as well. It's just we feel the same way as you guys feel. Yeah, we're watching the football. Derek's doing a great job. The boys are playing well. We just seem to be not getting over the line in the win department, and wins breed happiness and motivation and positivity.
And the crowds will come flooding back.
I know my son. I go when my sons play. I only play Saturday, Sunday, and Ted plays on Saturday. If they lose all their three under the 12 and under 9s games, the weekend's crap. And that's primary school football.
Yeah.
So multiply by 5,000 million, and that's what you get in the EFL and Premier League. And we just the stagnation thing is a good point that Joel makes, that you've got to try and not let it set in.
No.
Because we're still the same football club. We're still the same people. We're still the same people working hard to make it move forward. Peaks and troughs. You know, you think of the end of Jim's days. What were the crowds there? 1,000, 12, 1,500?
Yeah.
So
oh yeah. The progress is absolutely fantastic. It is, and like I just say, I think the most important thing is get a couple of bloody wins behind us, for God's sake.
We just need to come on, get some banjos and some barn doors and stuff in the barrow goal. See what we can do.
Yeah, we need to come across a keeper who's going to commit a couple of howlers and not play like
drop the ball over the line. Come on,
exactly like Leeds. Yeah.
So
somebody do a Melier, please. Yeah.
I want to come on and talk about a win. I want to come on and talk about increasing crowd positivity and playoff form and all.
The last win we talked about on here in the league was against Barrow on Easter Monday. Just thought I'd mention that.
There we go. It's sealed in fate.
Exactly. But then again, when you think about it, it's like, Jesus, that was Easter Monday. We're nearly at Christmas. Well, I went in Home Bargains today, and it was bloody Christmas according to them. I was like, dear Lord. But anyway, never mind. So hopefully next week we'll have something positive to talk about. If anybody fancies I'm sort of toying with the idea of going to Wimbledon. I've not been to the new ground, and I'm thinking, yeah, I know. Apparently, everybody says it's lovely, and I'm thinking, well, if we've got a coach going, I might well be tempted, because obviously me being out of work now, that's what I'll call it. People say to me, retired. I said, no, I'm between jobs. They went, are you getting another one? I went, no. But there you go. So this has been ShrimpNet. Thank you for listening. I hope you've enjoyed it. We will hopefully have somebody on next week to talk about the Barrow game, and hopefully have something positive to talk about. But us, we will always try and keep it positive. And if you've got any questions, or you would like to come on and give your view, you are welcome to. All you have to do is contact us. You can get hold of us by replying to us on Twitter or on Facebook or on our Facebook pages. Please do get in touch. Thank you to Charles, as always, and Joel for your succinct and outrageous views, the pair of you. I'm not saying who was succinct and who was outrageous, but this has been ShrimpNet. Join us again next week when we will stay positive.